Hello everyone, let's start today's session. No matter where you are, how busy you were, can one put aside everything else now? The mind is very easy to be engaged in many things, and that business is unstoppable, seemingly. And can one act without any cause, act without any action to end the entanglement with thoughts? That action is attention, isn't it? When one gives one's full attention, all the entanglement, all the issues come to an end. In attention, there is ending. Otherwise, the life is always trapped in the continuity brought about by thoughts. The continuity of the me, the self. Which is the center of all the narratives accumulated in the mind. And that me, the self, is neurotic, aggressive, full of reactions, judging, evaluating, avoiding, seeking, creating various mischiefs of the living. So it is very important and absolutely necessary for one to be in attention, in full attention. So the intelligence of the neuron cells can operate fully without being suppressed. When the mind is concentrating, the mind is fully engaged in thoughts. And in that concentration, there's a trap. The mind is trapped in the reaction chain of the thoughts. Therefore, there's suppression of the neuron cell's intelligence. When the thoughts are dominating, the intelligence is suppressed. And when the intelligence is suppressed, various issues brought by thoughts are being accumulated, registered in the mind. Can one perceive it directly? In this conversation between you and me, words are merely auxiliary. What is important is that you and I are perceiving directly, observing the total movement of thoughts. So the perception is not distorted by any thinking framework. It's not that we have this verbal agreement. It has no meaning. People are easy to agree or disagree through the verbal expressions. But that's merely a game of the verse. But when we perceive directly, you and I are perceiving together and independently. When that perception is sharp and free of any distortion brought about by thoughts, we see the same thing. And seeing the same thing is beyond any agreement. Please see the intensity of this statement. When we all perceive the same thing, it's beyond any verbal agreement. And in seeing the same thing, there's connection. The human connection. When there's a connection, there's no division between you and me. There's no division between us. Any division created by thoughts are no longer relevant and significant. However, when there's no connection, any division brought about by thoughts becomes very significant. Please see the truth of it. The fact of it. Seeing the truth demands one's sheer action. That is, give full attention. In full attention, the mind is free of any direction. And can one act without any cause, without any purpose? That is to give full attention to everything. To be fully attentive. That's the real action. That human beings really need. The real action has no purpose, has no cause, has no direction. But it is absolutely important. Otherwise, when the mind is not in attention, when the mind is concentrating, The mind is lost and trapped in various directions. Separating you and me and everybody. And the sense of disconnection is dominating. Making mischiefs on the lives of billions of people. Can one perceive this directly? Obviously, we are discussing something which is never verbal. It's there. It is up to one's to be in attention to perceive that. As we said earlier today, when the mind is in attention, the mind has no direction. Therefore, the mind is free of any traps from any directions brought about by thoughts. Therefore, the perception is free of any distortion. And when one is fully attentive, the mind is perceiving directly, which is also the functioning of the neural intelligence. And in that direct perception, free of any distortion, there's clarity, there's absolute certainty. Please don't merely take the verse from the speaker. Please do it and find out for yourself. What is the difficulty that prevents one from being attentive? What are those factors that are preventing attention, the real action that one needs but rarely takes place? Is that because the mind is always clinging to the known, the knowledge, conclusions, ideas, viewpoints, opinions, and their various personal experiences? When the mind is clinging to all that, the mind cannot be attentive. Because all those things, ideas, viewpoints, opinions, and the personal experiences are product of thoughts. clinging to those things means the mind is holding onto thoughts, which is the concentrating process, implying the direction, the purpose. Therefore, thoughts are dominating. Functioning as the wall that filters everything out. That's to say, to be actually fully attentive demands one let go of the known. The real action demands one put aside the known one has accumulated and cling to. Why does the mind cling to the known? Can one observe it directly? Can one answer that question for oneself without waiting for an answer from the speaker? Why does the mind cling to the known? Is that because the known can bring a sense of certainty, security, satisfaction, and fulfillment? And the mind wants more of that. Therefore, the mind clings to those things all the time. But the problem is that, is there real certainty and security in them? Or is it mere an illusion? The mind wants to find security, certainty, from ideas, beliefs, opinions, and various personal experiences. Has the mind found it? Or the mind has never found it, but it still feels that there's a security there in thoughts, and they want to cling it for more and more, but it never finds it. So does that mean that the mind is in a state of illusion, looking for something that does not exist, but cannot stop seeking? Is that the factor behind the mind clinging to thoughts all the time? The mind clings to ideas, theories, personal experiences, which are the product of thoughts, for a sense of security, the psychological security. But it never finds it. But it still feels that there's something secure in thoughts. Therefore, the mind clings to them. But it never feels certain, secure. Any disturbance or challenge to the thoughts immediately bring about insecurity, violence. So how can the mind let go of all the known? How can the mind be free of the illusion of seeking psychological certainty and the security? Otherwise, the mind is always clinging. Therefore, it cannot be attentive. And in clinging to something, there is a continuity. With all the sufferings, problems, continues in that realm. So to break up that continuity of the illusions, brought by thoughts, demands this real action, which is attention. And the attention demands letting go of all the known. Demands one stops clinging. How can the mind stop clinging? This demands one's complete understanding. And get insight that there is no psychological certainty and security at all. For now, this is merely a statement from the speaker. Please don't agree or disagree with it, but rather can one observe oneself, get insight into the psyche, and perceive the same thing. Saying the truth of this statement, there's no psychological security at all. Thoughts are always changing. when the mind can stay with the changing state, which is to stay unknown, without clinging to any known. There will be no issues at all. But when the mind is resisting to the fact that everything is changing, wanting to cling to something known for certainty, it only backfires. Making everything turbulent when there's constant seeking certainty, which does not exist psychologically. And in that seeking, there's only concentration, which is suppressing the intelligence of the neuron cells all the time. Accumulating various issues, problems, creating the deep-seated me, the ego. Seeing the fact that there's no psychological security and the illusion of seeking it, the mind has no choice but to be attentive. Attention is never a choice. Please see the fact of it. It's not that I choose to be attentive. Then the I, the me, the self-deception is making the mischief. When the mind is attentive, there's no me at all. And being attentive is not the option or the choice made by the me, because the attention dissolves me. And when the mind is seeing getting the insight, seeing the fact, the truth, the mind just acts. And that action has no direction, has no cause. Therefore, it's not a choice or an option. And attention is our living. The authentic living, which becomes rare. Because the whole world, the society, the civilization is based on thoughts, which demands one's concentration. That destroys attention and the intelligence of neuron cells, which are connected to nature or universe or whatever. Therefore, the whole society, based on thoughts, is deteriorating, degenerating all the time. And the civilization is becoming more and more individualistic. With the pettiness, ugliness, and all that. To be a human, not a fragmented entity, which is called individual. To be a human, a total human being, demands one to be absolutely attentive. Attention is the basis of the real living. And attention is the responsibility of humanity as a human being. And without attention, thoughts are dominating. More and more divisions, more and more conflict. Are there. So, can the mind be attentive without any choice? Can the mind end the concentrating process? And all of those demands of one's complete understanding of the human consciousness. And this violent world human beings have brought about due to the disordered consciousness. Seeing the violence, seeing the disorder, one ends the violence and the disorder from oneself. And that ending comes from one's sheerly acting now, attentive. And in that attention, there's the real ending. And there's really something new. Life is always refreshing, fresh, full of vital energy. And there's a beauty which is never relevant to the ugliness of this world, with the absurdity and the pettiness. And in attention, life is rejuvenating all the time, because there's ending. So therefore there's something renewing. But without attention, no, there's always a continuity, accumulation, with such a burden that destroys humanity. And only when one's in attention, fully aware, attentive, one can compound the beauty which is beyond any known. The beauty of staying unknown. So that's the whole part of today's talk. And in the next 5 minutes, let's stay silent together to save the messages from today's session and put aside all the things to have this sheer action take place. And if anybody have anything to ask or any topics to raise, please leave a message. And after these 5 minutes, if we still have time, if the speaker if we still have time, we can respond to that. Let's do it now. What is our greatest gift to humanity now? As everyone sees the chaos, the absurdity, the violence across the world, there's endless conflict, contradiction, not only in oneself, also between human beings. In this argument, fight, killing. And to one who is really serious and earnest to find out the truth within, what one can give to humanity. In a world that is so dark, what is one's gift? Isn't it? The gift is to be a light to oneself. Be a light, and the light can dispel all the darkness. In a world that is full of darkness, can a word here is free of any darkness? Me is the world. The world is me. Can my life be free of any darkness? And when one lives that way, without any darkness, one is the light to oneself, also to the whole world. The influence, the power is beyond imagination. So can one be that? Be a light without being guarded by anybody. Be a light means that one has the clarity, seeing everything as it is. Being a light means that the intelligence is fully awakened and functioning fully without any single oppression, deep suppression from thoughts. Being a light means that the life is never away from attention. In attention, everything stays in the right place. Which points to real harmony. And when one lives that way, that is the strongest message to the whole world, isn't it? That message is not something verbal. That message is so truthful. Penetrating all the facade of vanity. superficialities. And when one is living that way, being a light to oneself, one is a gift to the humanity. One's existence is a gift. The existence free of any ugliness, absurdities, contradictions. And that existence itself is a beauty, and also the gift to the humanity. And today's session is coming to an end. It's always a great pleasure. Well, it's not the right word. It is very delighting for the speaker to give a session. So we to really to be together. Not merely sharing, but really go deep together, to see something, to perceive something together. The speaker is living what he says and seeing what he lives, and hopefully more and more people are joining. In a world full of a crisis, can one live a life without any crisis? So let's end today's session with silence. All right. See you in the future sessions. Take care, everybody.